It was an online meeting. The new intern accidentally turned on her camera. Just as I was about to remind her, her boyfriend appeared on screen. One glance, and oh, great, wasn't that my husband, who's supposedly been on a business trip for a week? Chapter 1. When my husband, Steven, showed up on camera, the whole virtual meeting room went silent. The last message in the chat was, someone message her on WeChat. This is beyond awkward. Today was our monthly meeting, and attendance was mandatory for the entire business department. All 52 of us witnessed, through our screens, me getting cheated on. Steven and I have been married for a year. As my spouse, he had attended several of our team building events. Everyone in that meeting knew he was my husband. Never in my life had I imagined being humiliated in such a way. But years of corporate experience kicked in. I immediately hit record on my laptop. Leaving a paper trail is the bare minimum in my line of work. On my side of the screen, silence. On their side, springtime romance in full bloom. Steven had his arms around Gloria, the new intern in our team. His large face filled the camera, resting on her shoulder. Gloria giggled and rubbed her cheek against his. Stop it! Manager Lee still has to speak. Quit messing with me. Steven kissed her shamelessly. Didn't you invite me here just so you could get turned on hearing Zoe Lee's voice? So tell me, she cooed. Who's better, me or Manager Lee? Of course it's you, he replied. If Zoe Lee didn't have the XT project in her hands, do you think I'd marry an old woman like her? My heart went cold. Oh, Steven, when you were chasing after me, you didn't seem to mind that I was an older woman. Besides, I'm only 2 years older than Gloria. Steven had always acted like he loved me deeply. When we got married, he promised he'd be my rock, I'd focus on my career, and he'd take care of the home. And now this? This wasn't just a slap in the face, it was a public execution. The footage only got worse. My phone started blowing up with messages. I can't take this anymore. This is disgusting. Fire Gloria. Firing her would be letting her off too easy. Once one person spoke up, it was like someone broke the seal. Everyone started venting. With a straight face, I typed, let's continue the meeting. I'm sorry my personal matters disrupted things, but let's stay focused on work. I was furious. Yes, but at this critical point in the project, I didn't care if Steven was cheating with an intern, or even if he was caught cheating with his own father. I still had to get everyone aligned on the project schedule. I didn't mute Gloria's mic. Amidst their obscene whispers, we pressed on with our reports. This day would be unforgettable for everyone involved. Fortunately, Steven finished quickly. By the halfway mark of the meeting, they had quieted down. But during the final team members' report, the two were still chattering away. Steven, you didn't wear anything the last few times. What if I get pregnant? Steven gave her a loud kiss and waved it off. Then we'll have the baby. Zoe's a workaholic, won't even give me a child. You give me a son, and he'll be the only heir of the Chan family. When are you divorcing her? Then? After we land the XT project, I'll divorce her right after. Zoe's loaded. After all these years, I deserve some compensation for wasting my youth. Totally. By then I'll have my full-time offer from XT. I just want Zoe gone. I'm so sick of that smug face of hers every day. The team member paused, then gave a light cough. Manager Lee, I'm done with my report. I unmuted my mic, cleared my throat, and said without emotion, you've all done well lately. Thanks for your hard work. That's all for today. As the meeting ended, Gloria was still talking on camera. That ended fast today. I gave a cold smile. Of course it ended quickly. Any longer and they might have realized the camera was still on. And then they'd know we saw everything. I saved the meeting recording and message logs. Then, in a separate group chat without Gloria, I messaged my team. Don't worry about me. I'll handle my personal affairs. It won't affect the project. Also, I hope you can all keep this confidential. I'll likely be filing for divorce soon, and I want to act first. Thank you in advance. Whatever my colleagues truly thought, at least on the surface, they agreed not to tell Gloria. After all, compared to a new intern, I was the project lead, their direct supervisor. At that moment, I was immensely glad I never took Steven's mother's advice to step back in my career for the sake of family. A woman can live without love, but never without her career. Chapter 2. After sorting everything out, I called Steven on video. It took him quite a while to pick up. When he did, he put on a phony expression and said, "Babe, I was just busy with work. Didn't see my phone." Busy with work? Or busy putting your clothes back on? On his end, Steven was sitting on the couch. The curtain next to him fluttered slightly. I pretended to know nothing and smiled. "Steven, I really like the curtains behind you. Can you turn the phone so I can get a better look?" His expression tightened, and I could see him visibly panic. TSK. I doubted my own intelligence for a moment. How did I not notice this horrible acting until today? "What's so interesting about a curtain?" he said. "Come on, just turn the phone. I want to see it." There wasn't much space behind the sofa to avoid my line of sight. Anyone hiding would have to crawl out on their knees. A small act of revenge, not much, but satisfying. Steven hesitated and slowly turned the phone. The curtain swayed even more. "Why are you being so slow? What? Is someone hiding behind the curtain?" Steven's face went stiff. "What nonsense are you saying? You're the only one in my heart." I curved my lips into a smile, one filled with meaning. I didn't say anything, just looked at him deeply. I wasn't planning to confront Steven today. I just wanted to test his reaction. Looks like he's not ready to be exposed. After our marriage, we accumulated quite a bit of property, but most of it came from my investments and earnings. Steven's just a regular employee. Even our home is part of my premarital assets. Of course I'm going to divorce him, but I'll do it carefully and strategically. He's not getting a single penny from me. In fact, I'm going to make him pay back everything he's taken from me over the years, with interest. After ending the video call, I phoned a lawyer friend to ask what the best legal strategy would be right now. Before marriage, Steven had been very considerate. He proposed a financial agreement himself, just to show he wasn't after my money. That meant there was no ownership dispute over my real estate. But my salary, stock income, and dividends are all considered marital assets. And if we get divorced, I don't want Steven to benefit from a single cent of it. While Steven was getting all lovey-dovey with Gloria, I was already starting to reorganize my finances. But simply moving my assets isn't enough. I need to make him pay for betraying me. Chapter 3. After remote work ended, Gloria returned to the office like nothing had happened. Steven also stopped going on business trips every other day. The day Steven came home, I sprayed a full blast of alcohol sanitizer at him as he opened the door. He frowned, barely suppressing his irritation, and forced a smile. "Don't mess around, Zoe. Let me in first." I blocked the doorway and refused to budge. "Oh no, you're not stepping in right after coming back. Who knows what kind of filth you're carrying? Gotta disinfect you properly first." Steven fell silent, spinning slowly in place while I finished spraying him down. Once inside, he opened his arms to hug me. I pretended not to notice and stepped aside. I just couldn't stomach the disgust. "Miss me while you were away?" he asked cheerfully. "My head was full of you," he added with a grin. I smiled faintly, meaningfully. "Is that so? Well, I'm just thrilled to hear it." That night, I made him sleep in the study on the pretense that I was swamped with work. He didn't suspect a thing. In his mind, I was a full-blown workaholic. Doing anything for my career wouldn't surprise him. The next day, the whole department had been waiting for it. Gloria finally showed up to the office. People took detours past her desk just to sneak a glance. Gloria was clearly overwhelmed. She redid her hair 18 times before lunch. Worse, the co-workers around her suddenly became busy. No one invited her to eat, so she sat at her desk alone. Her workload turned chaotic and tedious. The team leader started snapping at her in front of everyone. In the workplace, no one wants to offend me for the sake of an intern, especially one who's now known as the shameless side chick. After an entire day of torment and 3 scoldings, Gloria hid in the stairwell after work, crying into her phone. No surprise. She was probably calling my husband. It's definitely managerly. She just can't stand me. She's jealous I'm young and pretty. Whatever Steven said on the other end made her giggle through the tears. Doesn't matter. I'm still young. There'll be plenty of chances in the future. Behind the fire exit door, I curled my lips into a silent, mocking smile. With your copy-paste skills constantly failing, you might never have a chance in this lifetime. Ahem. I cleared my throat just loud enough to signal someone was behind the door. Gloria panicked immediately, Whipping her head around, she saw the door slightly ajar and me standing there, half smiling. Her face changed in an instant, like she'd swallowed a fly. She stammered, "Ma, Manager Lee." I looked down at her from above, completely emotionless. "Whatever you do in your private time is your business, but you'd better not gossip about your colleagues. If you've got an issue with me, the company has a proper complaint process. Of course, I'm not directly responsible for evaluating your work. If every intern needed me to manage their tasks personally, then there'd be no point in having a department at all." Her face turned pale. Her eyes darted around in panic as she tried to guess how much I'd heard. Her hand was still holding the phone, the call still ongoing. "Put more thought into your work, and you wouldn't have to cry in stairwells." With that, I walked off without sparing her another glance. I'd interrupted her on purpose. Only when Gloria feels a sense of crisis will she cling to Stephen with everything she's got. And that gives me more time to collect the evidence I need against Stephen. Chapter 4. That night, Stephen didn't look too happy. While handing me a glass of water, he put on a grave face and said, "Zoe, there's something I probably shouldn't say, but as a company employee, and more importantly, as your husband, I think I owe it to you. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I feel I should let you know." I put on an attentive expression. Stephen sat down across from me. "Lately, your coworkers have been saying you're too impatient with subordinates, that your attitude is harsh. Zoe, this really isn't good for your leadership image." I quickly raised the cup to my lips, letting it hide the sneer I couldn't hold back. Clearly, Gloria had been crying to him again. Poor Stephen, just to make me go easy on his little lover. He went to the trouble of spinning such a righteous-sounding speech, but I wasn't interested in calling him out. Instead, I played along, looking as though I was seriously reflecting. "Really? Everyone's saying that?" Stephen nodded, face stern. "Yes, that's what everyone thinks." "Oh, is your name Everyone now?" I paused for a moment, then nodded. "Maybe I have been under too much stress lately. I've actually decided to start shifting my focus from work back to family. I even made an appointment with a doctor today to get my body in shape and actively prepare for pregnancy. Until my health improves, we should sleep in separate rooms." Stephen looked a little dazed. I knew he'd always wanted a child. At this point, he was probably mentally crunching the numbers, calculating whether I or Gloria could give him the better deal in terms of having a baby. Let him calculate all he wants. I have no intention of having a child with him. But the performance? Oh, I made sure that was flawless. The very next day, I went to the most expensive postpartum care center in the city. Prenatal education courses? Bought. Fetal music therapy classes? Bought. Top-tier maternity nurses? I booked 2, just in case one couldn't make it. Postnatal recovery sessions with private trainers at $450 a class? I booked 30 without blinking. Yoga, meditation, and Pilates designed to relax and pamper expectant mothers. I bought every single package. Oh, and did I forget to mention? The owner of the care center is my childhood best friend. We practically grew up in the same crib. So technically, I was spending a significant amount of money from my own paycheck, but really, all that money was flowing straight into my best friend's account. Once I filed for divorce, she'd quietly transfer it all back. Stephen didn't know about this connection, but he was clearly distressed about how much money I was throwing around. So I burst into tears right on cue. "This is my salary, and I'm spending it to give you a child, and you're upset about it." Stephen had no comeback. While I continued executing this strategy, diverting funds under every reasonable excuse I could think of, a bombshell dropped. After giving her daily report, my assistant paused, then said, "Manager Lee, Gloria might be pregnant." Chapter 5. As expected, Gloria panicked. She'd always prided herself on being young and pretty, and in her mind, youth meant better fertility. Stephen's whole family placed immense importance on having children. That, she believed, was her ultimate advantage over me. But now that I was openly trying to have a baby, Gloria was terrified I might get pregnant first. And if it happened to be a boy, Stephen might abandon her on the spot. This woman, born in the 21st century, was still operating with a feudal mindset, obsessing over who's the first wife, who's the concubine, who gives birth to the eldest son. No wonder she couldn't even copy and paste properly at work. Probably overdosed on historical palace drama shows. My assistant saw Gloria run out of the office bathroom, face full of joy, and instantly went in to check. Sure enough, right on top of the trash bin lay a positive pregnancy test. Gloria then headed to a quiet corner of the hallway to make a call. My assistant couldn't follow too closely, but she didn't need to. Anyone could guess she was calling Steven. Passing by as if by chance, my assistant overheard Gloria yelling into the phone, "If you don't divorce her soon, I'll just get rid of the baby." Well, she's starting to issue royal ultimatums now. I took the work file from my assistant with a smile, signed it, and praised her. "Nice work, sharp instincts. I'm treating you to a fancy dinner at the end of the month." My assistant looked worried. "Manager Lee, Gloria seems to be pushing really hard." "No need to be afraid. The harder she pushes, the better. Let her cry, threaten, and stomp her feet, ideally. She'll drag the entire Chan family into a frenzy." Chapter 6. Sure enough, that weekend when I got home, I found Steven's mother waiting for me. Looks like things weren't going well on Steven Chan's end if the family matriarch had to be deployed. The first thing she said when she saw me was, "Zoe, Steven told me you've been trying to get pregnant. So now." I kicked off my heels and replied with a calm smile. "Oh, the baby thing? Yeah, I was planning on it last month, but I've changed my mind. I think I've still got room to climb higher at the company, so I'll focus on that instead. Maybe I'll have a kid in a few years." Her face immediately soured. "Zoe, you're not exactly young anymore. A few more years and it'll be too late." "Well, then I just won't have one." I smiled sweetly. "It's not like we've got a throne to pass down." "Perfect." Her face stretched into a bitter gourd. That night, Steven came home, and the three of us shared a dinner full of hidden agendas. I pretended to be busy checking work emails while Steven and his mom slipped into the guest room to talk. Calmly, I popped in my Bluetooth earpiece. "Yes, know your enemy and know yourself, and you'll never lose a battle." I had installed a listening device in the guest room a while ago. Getting evidence of Steven bringing Gloria home would have been ideal, but hearing what scheming he and his mom were up to, also valuable intel. I heard Steven's anxious voice. "Mom, give me more time to think about it." His mother was clearly losing patience. "Think about what? Zoe has no intention of having a child. Gloria is carrying the next generation of the Chan family." Classic. I say there's no royal bloodline to preserve, but it clearly went in one ear and out the other. But what excuse do I use to divorce Zoe? Tell her I cheated on her? Steven sounded overwhelmed. "You have to divorce her," his mom insisted, almost frantic. "What? You're just going to sit there while Gloria aborts your child?" "Mom, let me think. Just let me think some more." Excellent. Exactly the development I was hoping for. Big thanks to the Chan family strategist. She just tossed more fuel on Gloria's fire and made Steven even more desperate. And Steven, I know him well, at work and at home. His greatest weakness is his inability to handle pressure. The more anxious he gets, the dumber he becomes, the more desperate he feels, the more likely he is to screw up. And that is the window I'm waiting to seize. Chapter 7. The next day, I asked Steven to meet me at a small cafe near our home. I told him I had something important to discuss. Steven kept glancing at his phone. I asked, "Someone trying to reach you?" Work," he said, with his professional competence. Who could possibly be contacting him? Obviously, he was worried about Gloria. I didn't call him out. I simply said, calmly, "Steven, I have something I want to discuss with you. Could we get a fake divorce?" Steven's head snapped up. His eyes lit up instantly. I couldn't help but say, "You look really excited." He paused for a moment, then quickly tried to compose himself. "No, it's not that. I just thought, if you're bringing up a fake divorce, it must be part of some clever financial strategy." He added, "Is it about buying a house?" I nodded smoothly, giving him an easy excuse. "Exactly. City A's new district just rolled out a policy, huge subsidies for first-time home buyers, but only under the husband's name. So I figured, why don't we divorce temporarily? I'll take ownership of our current properties, and you can buy a new place as a first-time buyer." Steven looked overjoyed. "That's amazing! Honey, I totally agree. Let's do it your way. He must have thought the heavens had handed him the perfect opportunity. I was initiating a fake divorce for the sake of buying property. That meant he could smoothly end the marriage, on paper, reassure Gloria that he was committed to her and the baby, and still preserve our relationship just enough to keep me in the wings. He'd be free to circle back later, remarry me, and continue leeching off my life. I had already figured out that Stephen had no real intention of marrying Gloria. He's far too calculating to throw away his cushy lifestyle for a young intern who had nothing but a pretty face to offer. Poor Gloria, thinking she had one because she was younger and more attractive. In reality, she was just being used as a walking womb. I could already picture it during our so-called fake divorce. Gloria gives birth to the precious heir of the Chan family. Stephen gets what he wants, and then slips back into our marriage, unnoticed and unscathed. A perfect little scam. Meanwhile, I went back to the study and began drafting the divorce terms. As long as I could use this setup to actually divorce Stephen, I'd make sure he walked away with absolutely nothing. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Stephen, who thinks he's about to win it all, is nothing but a pathetic clown in my eyes. But of course, things with the fake divorce didn't go quite as smoothly as he imagined. Chapter 8. The terms of my fake divorce were simple: the house, the car, and all the money would stay with me. Stephen would walk away with nothing, which was only fair, after all. I earned all of it with his meager salary. He hadn't saved a cent. My guess? It had all gone to Gloria. Still, Stephen had a few objections. Babe, isn't this a little too much? What's too much? I blinked innocently. It's a fake divorce anyway. But there's going to be quite a bit of time between the divorce and when we remarry. What if you fall in love with someone else? He'd clearly gone back to discuss it with his parents and Gloria. In any case, he was being stubborn. No, Zoe, this puts me at too much risk. If I don't have any kind of financial protection, I'm not going through with this divorce. I paused for a moment, as if seriously considering it. How about this? Let's sign an agreement that states the house and car are only under my name temporarily, that I'm just holding them on your behalf. If you want, you can reclaim them later. Stephen hadn't expected me to be so generous. His eyes lit up like two light bulbs. Zoe, you'd really do that for me? Of course, we're husband and wife. I want you to trust me completely. Later, Stephen secretly called his family, clearly thrilled. When he returned, he said, "All right, it's a deal." I could see it in his eyes. He was already drifting. After all these years together, I knew him too well. I could tell he was thinking, now that he had this so-called property transfer agreement in hand, even if this fake divorce became real, so be it. He could walk away with my house, my car, and finally shake me off, for good. Then, he could go build a new life with a younger, prettier girl. Poor Gloria, so proud of her youth and looks, thinking she'd defeated me when all she really was a rented uterus. It was obvious. During our supposed trial separation, she'd give birth to the heir of the Chan family, and Stephen would quietly swoop back into our marriage once the baby was born. What a nice, neat little setup. As for me, I went to the postpartum care center to have tea with my best friend. When I told her about the whole plan, she nearly smashed her teacup. Zoe, what the hell are you doing? Have you lost your mind? You're basically handing money to a cheating scumbag and his mistress. Let them have it, I said, lifting my cup of warm Longjing tea and sipping slowly. We were married. He's having a kid now. Consider it a gift. Money can always be earned back. This is just me paying off the emotional debt of our past. My friend was so furious she couldn't speak, trembling as she pointed at me. I saw the flush rising in her face and couldn't help but laugh. All right, I'm done teasing you. I set the cup down, picked up an almond pastry, and let the sweetness melt on my tongue. Zoe Lee never trips over the same stone twice. Sure, I was dumb enough to marry this loser once, but a second time? Not a chance. Her face finally softened a little, though she still looked hesitant. But you gave him the house and the car. Stephen thinks I did. I smiled, taking another piece of almond pastry. I've been in business for years, but do you remember what I majored in during undergrad? Law? Exactly. I smiled. Thanks to Stephen, I got a nice refresher on my old field. The divorce agreement is signed. Now all that's left is to sit back and enjoy the show. Chapter 9. After Gloria got pregnant, she completely lost interest in work. She resigned early and went home to focus on her pregnancy. As it turns out, Stephen is the kind of man who can't sit still if he doesn't have a little excitement in his life. He gets restless. With Gloria at home taking care of her unborn child, Stephen managed to get his hands on both my apartment and my car. Suddenly, he was feeling like a king, convinced he was some kind of hot, eligible bachelor. He even started looking for a new office romance at work. I no longer had any reason to indulge him, so whenever he tried to flirt with a young girl in the break room, and a colleague gave me a heads up, I'd make sure to accidentally walk in and witness the scene. I would immediately pull the girl behind me and call Stephen out for corrupting the company's professional environment. Colleagues would gather to watch the drama unfold, and Stephen's face would flush red, then go pale. At the quarterly performance review, I publicly and precisely exposed the fact that Stephen had ranked dead last in performance for 3 months in a row, qualifying him for company downsizing. And just like that, Stephen lost his job. That evening, when I got home, Stephen was waiting at the building entrance. "Zoe, what the hell is your problem?" he snapped. I replied calmly, "Business is business. The fact is, your performance was the worst." Stephen gave a bitter laugh. "I knew it. You're a cold-blooded woman. Divorcing you was the best decision I ever made." Oh, here we go. Is he finally done pretending? I could hardly contain my excitement, though I forced myself to look shocked. From a car nearby, Gloria stepped out, her belly visibly swollen. She walked over and wrapped her arm around Stephen's. "Don't waste your breath on her," she said softly. "Let's go." I stared at Gloria's belly in disbelief, then looked back at Stephen. You too." Gloria smiled triumphantly. "Stephen and I are together now." I looked devastated. "That baby, is it his?" "Of course, why not?" Gloria grinned and caressed her belly. "You didn't want to have kids with Stephen, but I do. How far along are you?" I stepped forward, trying to grab Stephen's collar. "Did you two start seeing each other before the divorce?" Gloria quickly stepped between us. I stopped myself just in time, but she still faked a little stumble and fell weakly into Stephen's arms. "Stephen," Gloria whimpered, playing the victim. Stephen held her close and glared at me coldly. "Zoe, now that things are out in the open, I can finally tell you the truth," he said flatly. "During all the years we were married, I never once felt like a real man." "Really? My guy, you were the one who wanted to get married in the first place," he continued. "We started at the company around the same time, but you kept getting promoted while I fell behind. Did you ever consider how that made me feel?" And I'm thinking, so what? Should I have turned down promotions and raises just to protect your fragile ego? All these years, I've been putting up with you because you constantly needed my money. Well, I don't have to put up with you anymore. Zoe, we're divorced now. For the sake of all those years, let's just part ways peacefully. I stood there in the cold wind, staring at Stephen. "What do you mean by part ways peacefully?" I said icily. "Are you saying I should just hand over the house and the car and walk away?" "The house and the car were always mine," Stephen replied. "You were just holding them in your name." I caught the fleeting look of smugness on his face. He clearly thought signing that ownership agreement back then was a stroke of genius. I turned and walked straight into the building. "I'm not moving out. Call your lawyer if you think you've got a case." Chapter 10. To his credit, Stephen actually followed through this time. He said he'd get a lawyer. And he really did. No surprise there. Right now, he, Gloria, and his parents are all crammed into a tiny rental apartment. Neither he nor Gloria has a job, and they're living off his parents' pension. I'm sure they've been eyeing my spacious, clean apartment for a long time. When they showed up at my place, it was the full squad, Stephen's parents, Stephen, Gloria, and the lawyer. All 5 of them came. Looking at the elderly couple, I let out a long sigh. "Uncle Chon, when you needed surgery, I pulled every string I could to get you a hospital bed. I also paid for all your post-op care. I still remember, after you got better, you held my hand and told me I was like your own daughter." Mr. Chan's expression turned ugly as he looked away. "And Auntie, the first time you came to my home, You saw my skincare products and said you'd never used anything so fancy. Didn't I buy you the whole set? You both knew early on about Steven cheating on me with Gloria. Why didn't either of you tell me? Mr. Chan finally spoke. Zoe, what's past is past. We should treat this as a separate matter. Mrs. Chan chimed in right away. Exactly. Zoe, let's talk legal facts. This house and the car are in Steven's name. You were just holding them temporarily. Now that he's asking for them back, you need to return them. Feelings are one thing, we elders don't really get the emotional stuff between you young people. But the law is the law, and we should follow it. Their scripted duet was clearly rehearsed. Even though I had mentally prepared myself for this, I still felt a rush of bitterness. I glanced at Gloria. Wow. Even as a pregnant woman, you came along to pad the numbers. Did Steven marry you already? Gloria froze for a second. I shook my head. How pathetic. You're 8 months along and still don't have a marriage certificate. Look at this ungrateful bunch. Do you really think having this baby will earn you their gratitude? Gloria's face turned beet red. Steven jumped up, furious. Zoe, we're here today to talk about the house and the car. Stop dragging irrelevant stuff into this. You have no right to judge my family. He pointed toward the lawyer, especially not in front of an outsider. I smiled. Just saying what's been on my mind. Who knows if I'll ever get another chance. I turned to the only outsider in the room, the lawyer, and finally got to the point. There are no payment records from him. I said calmly. The lawyer, being a professional, probably hadn't been fully briefed by Steven, who likely didn't even think it through properly. As soon as the lawyer heard this, his face changed instantly. Only Steven, his parents, and Gloria still looked completely confused, exchanging blank stares. They clearly didn't understand what I meant. I grabbed my bag and pulled out all the payment proofs. I had paid in full for the car. I paid the down payment for the apartment, and every single mortgage installment since then. Mr. Chan, the lawyer turned to Steven. You failed to disclose that both the property and the car were fully paid for by your ex-wife. In this case, the trust holding agreement is invalid. The four of them had just one expression on their faces. Absolute devastation. I smiled faintly as I put all the documents back in my bag. Well, weren't we here to talk about the house and the car? I'd say that discussion is over. If there's nothing else, I'd like to rest now. This is my home, so I'll have to ask you all to leave. Gloria let out a shriek and fainted on the floor. Since she's pregnant, any delay could be serious. I quickly dialed 911 and sent the whole bunch off in an ambulance. Chapter 11. Gloria ended up being fine and safely gave birth to a baby boy. Even though they lost the house and the car, at least they got the son they'd always dreamed of. That was some small consolation for the Chan family. I had planned to cut all ties with them for good. But one evening after work, I got home and saw someone kneeling in the pitch-black stairwell. I was startled and let out a scream. The motion-activated lights flicked on, and that's when I saw it was Steven. His eyes were bloodshot as he told me he'd been kneeling there for 3 hours. Whether that was true or not, I couldn't say. What I did notice was that he had chosen to kneel on the thick welcome mat I had at the door. Not bad, still knew how to make himself more comfortable. Even while repenting, Steven was crying as he told me he had made a huge mistake. After everything that had happened, he had finally realized that I was the one he loved the most. I let out a long sigh. He probably thought I didn't know the truth. But news spreads quickly. There are no real secrets in the office. The gossip eventually made its way to me. That son Gloria gave birth to? He wasn't even Steven's. If Steven could fool around at work, switching flings like socks, then Gloria could too. She actually had 2 targets lined up at the time. Steven was her backup. The real prize was a young, wealthy heir to a small fortune. But the young heir was immature and not easily manipulated. Even after Gloria got pregnant with his child, he just told her to get an abortion. Compared to him, Steven, with his desperate desire for a son as if he had a throne to pass down, was much easier to control. So Gloria used someone else's child to secure her place in the Chan family as the mother of the firstborn son. Sadly, that didn't help much. The Chan family's financial situation had crumbled, and Gloria was stuck at home, crying and yelling every day while taking care of the baby. At first, Steven tried to endure it for the sake of the child. But during one big fight, Gloria finally lost it and screamed that the child wasn't his. And that was it. The gloves came off. They ended up in a full-blown domestic brawl. Gloria ended up with a black eye, Stephen with a bloody face. The neighbors called the police. Both of them got taken to the station, and the whole street now knew their story. After that chaos, Gloria took the baby and went begging the young heir for money. Stephen came to me, trying to play out the classic drama of getting back together. Back when we were dating, every time we argued or nearly broke up, Stephen would pull the same stunt, kneeling and begging. I used to fall for it every time, thinking he must really love me. But now, I've come to realize that's not love. That kind of over-the-top performance is exactly what proves it's all just an act. I gave a helpless smile. Stephen, I'm married now. Stephen froze. My husband is 6 feet 1 inch, built like a tank, and is currently parking the car downstairs. If you don't leave now, when he comes up, I might not be able to stop him from beating you up. Stephen ran off like his pants were on fire. Once I was sure he was gone, I unlocked the door and stepped into the apartment. I sank comfortably into the couch, opened a food delivery app, and ordered some good old junk food, planning to enjoy some comedy shows with pizza and fried chicken. Of course, I don't actually have a new husband, but look, life's still pretty good on my own, isn't it? They say a failed marriage can ruin your luck, but ever since I finally got rid of Stephen, my career's taken off again. I got promoted, and the boss has already hinted that if I keep this up, I'll soon be the youngest woman on the company's board of directors. I've got a house, a car, money, and a thriving career. The future looks bright. As for whether I have a husband or kids, who cares? Chapter 12. Eventually, the wealthy heir acknowledged the child as his own. The baby was handed over to the grandparents to raise, but Gloria herself was not accepted. The heir's mother gave Gloria a lump sum of money, with one condition: she was never to show her face in front of their family again. When I heard the news, I actually felt relieved. After all, the child was innocent. Growing up with someone like Gloria would have meant a hard life. Now at least he had a decent home and future. Gloria had already received a severance payout. If she had used it to start a small business or invest in self-development courses, it would have been enough for her to live independently. But Gloria was too used to shortcuts. Going back to a normal, disciplined life was never going to happen. Before long, she became one of those red envelope girls in nightclubs, going home with whoever sent her the biggest cash gift. But there's always someone younger and prettier at those parties. Gloria's situation became increasingly desperate. I honestly don't know what she'll do to survive when the day comes that men stop giving her money. As for Stephen, things weren't much better. He and his parents moved back to their hometown. Rumor has it he faked his credentials and managed to marry into a local family, essentially becoming a live-in son-in-law. But both his wife and father-in-law are known to have nasty tempers. To make matters worse, they demanded that any children take the mother's surname. That particular detail felt like a stab in the heart for Stephen's parents. But there was nothing they could do when you live under someone else's roof. You swallow your pride. And me? I successfully earned stock in equity options and became the youngest female board member in the company's history. Sometimes new hires would hear the wild gossip from years ago and try to fish for details around the water cooler. I'd just smile and say nothing. I hold no grudges. All the scandals and gossip are just fleeting smoke. And when the smoke clears, the ones left standing are those with real talent and real assets. I know one thing for sure: my future still lies wide open. Story 2. My husband and daughter framed me for falsifying experimental data just so he could rekindle his relationship with his childhood sweetheart. I'm a businessman. I don't need a shabby, obsessive scientist by my side. What I need is a glamorous woman who can stand next to me and make me look good. Mom, you can't provide Dad with any emotional value. Aunt Luna is far more suitable to be with him than you are. Blacklisted in my field. I didn't wallow in despair. Instead, I took a job as a tutor for a wealthy family and unintentionally became the savior of 3 broken children. I pulled them out of the depths of self-loathing, watched them shine in their respective paths: business, politics, and research. Just as I was feeling proud of their achievements, my daughter showed up at my door. Mom, with Aunt Luna by Dad's side, his company has risen into the top 500 in the country. Even their partners are major corporations. I've been groomed as a socialite and am now quite famous in elite circles. and Aunt Luna has become a top-tier cosmetic formulator. People line up just to buy her products. In this world, you're the only one who's still stuck in the past, living a mediocre and insignificant life. Chapter 1. But after all, I'm your daughter. Follow my lead, and I'll make sure you live a good life. Zoe sized me up, her gaze as calculating as if she were appraising an object for sale, not looking at her own mother. Just like before. I remember you had a few crazy admirers. They're all big shots now. Let's throw out these shabby clothes and dress you up properly. I'll make sure you live well. She kept weaving her lies, painting a picture of a fake dream, but anyone with half a brain could tell what she meant. She wanted her own mother to become someone's mistress. I stared coldly at Zoe. Whatever lingering affection I had for her vanished completely. Back then, I had just published groundbreaking data on Alzheimer's treatment. The media swarmed, and funding offers poured in, ready to push my research forward. Then Zoe stepped in and publicly accused me of falsifying my data. Mom said she can make up random numbers to fool investors into funding her experiments. Later, she'll just announce the research failed and pocket the money. I can't let Mom keep doing the wrong thing. Her few words were enough to destroy me. No one bothered to verify the validity of my research. Instead, they amplified Zoe's childish accusations, even online. The public condemned me. How could someone be so evil that even her own daughter couldn't bear to watch? Fraudulent scientist. Why don't you just die? I actually believed Alzheimer's could be cured. Can the government lock up all these scammers so ordinary people like us won't be deceived again? I went to Zoe and begged her to clarify. The data isn't fake. If you keep this up, my research will be delayed, and many patients will lose their chance for treatment. But Eric stopped me. That's exactly what I hate about you. You treat your work like it's your life. Why can't you be more refined and elegant like Luna? Zoe stood beside him and added, other moms are glamorous, like fairies. If you can't give me that, I'll find it myself. I think Aunt Luna is perfect. I never imagined that the two people I loved most would stab me in the back. One wanted a new mom, and the other wanted a new wife. And to achieve that, they dragged me into the mud. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Let's divorce. I don't want anything. Chapter 2. Sitting in Zoe's car. I received calls from the 3 children I tutored. They demanded to know where I was, whether I needed them to show up for backup, or if anyone needed to be taught a lesson. Their rough and rowdy tone made me laugh. I'm just taking a day off to see what my biological daughter's so-called good life looks like. Zoe glanced at me through the rearview mirror, her eyes full of mockery. It was as if, in her eyes, I had become nothing more than a greedy, shallow old woman. The old mansion was crowded with luxury cars. I was led straight into the banquet hall. Zoe shoved me toward a man, her expression ingratiating. Mr. Santiago, didn't you say you needed a date for today? What do you think of her? Today's collaboration is crucial, and you're the key player. I recognized the man. He was my university classmate who had chased me for 3 years. I rejected him, advising him to focus on his studies so he could properly care for his parents one day. He snapped, calling me vain and shallow for thinking he wasn't good enough. You'll regret this. One day, I'll be so successful that you won't even dare to look at me. To his credit, he made good on his words, building an empire through tech. Zoe, you really know how to pick a date. I'm impressed. I'll definitely consider this investment opportunity. I tried to leave, but Santiago grabbed my wrist tightly. Across the room, Luna and Eric acted like a loving couple. Luna showcased her latest cosmetic products, highlighting their advanced skin rejuvenating molecules. To demonstrate, she had someone apply the product on the spot, wowing the guests with immediate results. But I remembered those molecules. In my experiments, they showed strong permeability, breaking down the skin's natural barrier and causing normal cells to mutate and spread. Then came the investment pitches. Assistants circled the room, gathering contacts for negotiations. The room fell into silence. No one wanted to be the first to take the risk. Santiago glanced at Zoe, about to step forward, but I yanked his arm back. I whispered, "Don't invest in this. It's a losing project that could leave you deep in debt." Though I kept my voice low. Helen, one of my former students, overheard me and called me out. "Who are you to say Luna's project is bad? You're just jealous. You're a fraud. How dare you talk about others? Suddenly, everyone's eyes were on me. If looks could kill, I'd already be dead. Luna turned to me, her confident smile shifting to one of vulnerability. I invited you to the banquet out of kindness, yet you humiliate me like this. You can't assume everyone is a fraud just because you faked your data. Eric pulled her into his arms, glaring at me like I was dirt. He always protected Luna, nothing had changed. Even Zoe stood with them. If you keep slandering my mom, please leave. They were perfectly united against me, making me look like the villain. Luna's products have always worked. I think this project has potential. I'm investing. Helen's voice dripped with venom. Do you still think you're the Anna from before? You're just a rat, hated by everyone, yet you still want to ruin someone else's investment banquet. You're shameless. You should rot in the mud like the insect you are. I didn't understand her hostility. Years ago, I rescued her from being forced into marriage, gave her father money, and ensured she could study. I even provided a 2,000 yuan monthly allowance. But she wasn't satisfied. It wasn't enough for luxury bags or upscale living. When I refused to give her a credit card, she resented me even more. Luna swooped in with designer gifts and won her over completely. Helen even destroyed my computer, ruining my proof of innocence. When I confronted her, she sneered. You're the outsider here. Eric and Zoe don't love you. So why are you holding on to that position? Have some dignity. Now I saw clearly. People only cared about personal gain. Chapter 3. My reputation was in ruins. No organization dared to hire me. My bank account was frozen, leaving me stranded with nowhere to go. Out of desperation, a butler approached me and offered a job as a tutor for the infamous Cursed family. 4 sons in that family, 3 dead, 1 missing. The dead ones left behind 3 children, wild, unruly, and uncontrollable. No school could handle them. The butler had hired several tutors, but all had been scared off by the 3 terrors. Their reputation preceded them. The eldest, Lucas, had nearly beaten someone to death over an argument. The second, Luis, was frail but strikingly handsome. When someone harassed him, he almost turned the guy into a eunuch. The youngest, Roma, was a quiet girl who had learned martial arts, but when she snapped, no one could stop her. On my first day, I let my guard down and was promptly locked in the basement by those 3 little devils. Later, I broke out of the basement, tore it apart, and dragged each of them down there, one by one, leaving them hungry for 3 days. When I finally let them out, they looked weak and miserable. I simply said one sentence. Today's lesson is just one phrase. Do not do unto others what you do not want done to yourself. As we spent more time together, I slowly guided them away from their destructive paths and uncovered truths that no one else knew. Why did Lucas almost kill someone? Because that person mocked his cursed family, saying it was only a matter of time before he died, and their fortune would be swallowed up. They even said his pretty siblings could be used for political marriages. Why did Luis try to turn someone into a eunuch? Because that person suggested he get rid of his sister so he wouldn't have to share the inheritance. And why did Roma lose control? She overheard plans to harm her brothers and cripple them. She snapped and left those people battered beyond recognition. The more time I spent with them, the more I grew to love these kids. Lucas was business-minded, so I taught him commerce. Luis showed interest in politics, so I guided him in governance. Roma loved research, so I conducted experiments with her. Our bond deepened, and they stopped calling me teacher. Instead, they began calling me Mama Anna. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Zoe. Stop messing around. If you ruin my mom's plans, your so-called good life will be over. You're not the Anna you used to be. Learn your place. How fitting. She didn't even call me mom anymore. I sneered and turned off my phone. That was my biological daughter. When she was little, she suffered from a rare genetic disorder that left her weak and frail. She nearly didn't survive. I spent 5 years decoding her genes, identifying the flaws, and developing a specialized drug to save her. That's the only reason she's healthy today. But children grow up, and so do their ambitions. I remembered how she used to cling to me, crying as I worked tirelessly. I'm sorry, Mommy, I'm so sorry. If I were healthier, you wouldn't have to work so hard, right? Now, those moments felt like distant smoke, leaving only cold, unbridgeable distance. Chapter 4. Helen's investment opened the floodgates, and soon others followed, expressing their desire to join. Luna's assistant scrambled to record names. Grinning from ear to ear, Eric stepped off the stage and walked toward me, his expression complicated. Now that you're back, why don't you stay this time? You and Zoe haven't seen each other in years. Before I could respond, Santiago stepped in front of me, his expression dark. What's this? Trying to rekindle old feelings and enjoy the best of both worlds? But you're too late. Your daughter already introduced her mother to me. Eric's face darkened instantly. He stared at me in disbelief. You've fallen this low? Do you think you're still young, selling your body like this? Do you even realize your age? He made no attempt to lower his voice. The room went silent. Luna gasped, covering her mouth dramatically. Sister, how could you degrade yourself like this? You've spent years studying, and this is what you chose? Becoming someone's mistress? Don't you feel ashamed in front of your parents? My parents were respected intellectuals in the industry, once researchers at a national institution. The cameras, originally focused on the investment pitches, turned toward me. Some bold reporters rushed up and started firing questions. Are you the researcher Anna who disappeared 6 years ago after the data fraud scandal? How do you still have the nerve to show your face? Do you even have a conscience? Do you realize how many people you would have disappointed if your fraudulent experiments had gone through? Aren't you afraid of divine punishment? I smiled. No, I'm not. To them, my calmness was shamelessness. The crowd erupted. Phones were raised. Live streams began, and the comments rolled in. Many viewers didn't even know the full story, but after hearing brief explanations, they joined the mob. This is the most shameless person I've ever seen. How can she stand there and say she's not afraid? Truly, the most brazen people are unstoppable. I'm so angry. My dad believed in her research. He was waiting for her cure to help my grandma. But then it was exposed as a fraud. He died heartbroken, thinking it was all a lie. The outrage spread like wildfire. Santiago pulled at my arm, worry flashing in his eyes. Maybe you should leave first. Just give me your contact information. I looked at him, surprised. I expected ridicule, not concern. He turned red under my gaze, avoiding eye contact. I'm just worried someone might try something reckless later. As long as I can reach you, we'll deal with the rest later. Before he could finish, the heavy sound of synchronized footsteps echoed from the entrance. A group of uniformed officials entered, their presence commanding immediate attention. Their uniforms looked official, government level. I think I've seen that uniform in one of the national research departments. Someone murmured, why would so many of them show up here? The crowd's focus shifted from me to Luna. If government officials were here, it had to be about something important. People started congratulating Luna. Mrs. Luna, your skincare product must have caught the government's interest. Your big break is here. Many guests had the same thought. Industrial screening. In the past, materials like carbon fiber and stealth coatings were absorbed into national research programs. Could Luna's product be next? Luna's ego inflated, and the satisfaction of potentially working with the government pushed thoughts of me aside. She quickly approached the officials. Hello, how can I help you? But the lead official stepped forward and interrupted. Sorry, we're not here for you. We're here for Ms. Anna. Chapter 5. Anna? All eyes turned toward me. Eric froze, his gaze darting between me and the official. His expression darkened. You're not here to arrest her, are you? As far as I know, the National Research Department doesn't have that kind of authority. Luna chimed in quickly. Exactly. Sure, she's made mistakes, but taking her away is too much. The academic fraud incident happened years ago. You didn't act back then, and coming after her now doesn't make any sense. They were trying to pin the academic fraud allegations on me again. The officials frowned at their words. You must be mistaken. Academic fraud? When did Ms. Anna ever need to fake results? MS. Anna is a technical advisor for the National Research Department. We're here today to invite her back to the lab. Researcher Roma has hit a bottleneck in her studies and needs Anna's expertise. The room fell into stunned silence. Not only the guests but also the reporters looked dumbfounded. These journalists, so quick to attack earlier, had jumped on the fraud accusations without hesitation. Now, in a sudden twist, I was revealed to be a government consultant? Luna's forced smile began to crack. A technical advisor? But surely you've seen the reports. She committed academic fraud. How could someone like that become a technical advisor? Ignoring her, I pulled my hand away from Santiago's grasp and stepped forward, walking confidently behind the officials. As the doors were about to close, one of the officials turned back and delivered a parting blow. By the way, Researcher Roma has a message for everyone here. Anyone who bullies her mother is bullying her. All companies collaborating with Eric's family will no longer have access to her research findings. Consider that carefully. The door shut with a loud clang. The room remained frozen, everyone exchanging dazed looks. What just happened? How did things flip so suddenly? But despite the shocking revelation, Eric's business deals had already been sealed. Investors, impressed by Luna's cosmetics demonstration, stuck to their agreements. Some entertainment companies even began planning endorsements for Luna's products. Chapter 6. The livestream scandal triggered a shift in public opinion, but most people remained skeptical. Schools familiar with the National Research Department began reaching out to me, inviting me to lecture. 2 sessions a month, manageable. I accepted, but only for 6 months. Zoe contacted me again after hearing about my ties to the research department. Mom, you know Dad's been struggling. If he could access products developed by the department, his business would soar. Dad still cares about you. Don't be so heartless. I knew my daughter too well. To her, relationships meant nothing. Only profits mattered. I neither agree nor refuse. I was curious to see just how far she was willing to go. After finishing a class one day, a male student lingered behind. Professor, I still have some questions. Can I ask you after class? I gave him my contact information without thinking too much about it. That evening, as I was about to start an online session with senior researchers, I received a message from the same student. He said he needed help and asked me to meet him at his dormitory. Something felt off. Leaving my computer on, I went to the door. When I opened it, the student stood there, his face flushed and his eyes unfocused. What's wrong with you? He smirked. You wouldn't agree to help Zoe, so don't blame me for this. Panic surged in my chest. I moved to close the door, but he suddenly started tearing his own clothes. Professor, you can't do this. Professor, hearing the commotion, other residents rushed out of their rooms. The scene they witnessed, me and a disheveled male student, made them immediately call the police. Someone had recorded the incident and uploaded it online. The backlash was swift. I knew it! That earlier livestream was just a PR stunt to clear her name. Absolutely shameless. I feel so bad for that poor student. He'll be scarred for life. I'm furious. I really thought she was innocent, but her true colors showed so quickly. Am I the only one relieved that she exposed herself before harming more students? Zoe called me, her voice dripping with malice despite her cheerful tone. If you won't help, then you might as well disappear. I don't need a useless mother like you. The scandal spiraled out of control. Even the university's official website was bombarded with demands to fire me permanently. Facing mounting pressure, the administration called and urged me to resign. I skimmed through the comments online and laughed. The female officer questioning me frowned at my reaction. You need to take this seriously. We're conducting an investigation. I raised my hands and leaned back. Don't worry, the truth will come out soon enough. Right now, I have no reason to answer any questions. Chapter 7. Luna and Zoe went live together. Zoe's eyes brimmed with tears, her voice trembling as if she were deeply wronged. She had always portrayed herself as a poised, elegant young lady. This sudden display of vulnerability easily garnered sympathy. Please, everyone, stop harassing my mom online. After my parents' divorce, my dad remarried, and my mom is no longer Anna, the woman accused of that disgusting incident with the male student. If she could do something so shameful, then she's no longer my mother. Please make that distinction. Her heartfelt plea quickly won over some viewers, and the live stream's popularity skyrocketed until it didn't. Suddenly, the comments began to turn against her. Zoe, right? Maybe you should check the facts before making clarifications. You're in such a hurry to distance yourself. It's hard not to suspect that you were involved in setting this up. Zoe's expression stiffened. She panicked. I don't even know that guy. Why are you blaming me for Anna's actions? At the same time, a video surfaced online, footage recorded at the teacher's dormitory that captured the entire incident. The truth was clear. Public opinion flipped almost instantly, and police department phones rang off the hook. Calls came from national offices, international inquiries, and media outlets. Even the officers in the room with me looked unsettled. I glanced at the female officer and smirked. You got the update, didn't you? Blushing, she nodded. Luis arrived with a lawyer to pick me up. While the male student who framed me wasn't so lucky, he was held in custody. The student ranted as they detained him. Did someone bribe you? I'm the victim. How can you just let her go? The female officer rolled her eyes and played the footage for him. A victim who undressed himself? You're lucky, MS. Anna isn't pressing charges. Sit down and reflect. The student's confidence shattered. He slumped in the chair, completely broken. She was on a video call? Why was she teaching online? I'm finished. Completely finished. Chapter 8. Luis sat in the car with a stormy expression. I knew he was furious. I reached out to pat his head, but he grabbed my hand. Mom, what if I destroy Eric's company? They're such an eyesore. Especially Zoe, that ungrateful snake. What if I leave her with nothing? I flicked his forehead hard, only letting go when his expression softened. Stop thinking about criminal acts. We live in a lawful society. Seeing his defiance, I added, but if it's fair competition in business, I won't stop you. Luis grinned and nodded eagerly. The lawyer sitting in the front seat kept glancing back, clearly amazed at how quickly this wolf turned into a puppy. Less than a day later, Eric's company started hemorrhaging clients. Orders were canceled, and although companies paid the penalties, they refused to continue working with him. Eric, completely overwhelmed, ordered his assistant to investigate. The findings? All the company's cutting ties were linked to Luis's family business. Realizing this, Eric called one of the directors of Luis's company. Sir, this is a decision from above. Maybe you should think about whether you've offended someone recently? Eric racked his brain and shook his head. No, who could I have offended? The director sighed and dropped the bombshell. You offended our matriarch. Oh, you might not know, she's the same Anna you and your family publicly humiliated. Good luck. The line went dead. Eric felt like he'd been struck by lightning. It's her? Before he could recover, the media pounced. Articles exposed how Eric abandoned his wife and how Zoe framed her own mother. To make matters worse, a recording leaked. Zoe, I heard you go to X University. My mom's a guest lecturer there. Help me set this up, and I'll pay you $1,000. Male student, deal. The dots connected, painting a horrifying picture. To replace her mother with someone she liked. Zoe framed Anna, destroyed her career, and then tried to use her as a stepping stone. Is this even a daughter? She's more like a monster. I agree, she's a monster. And Eric is just as bad. Anna funded his company with research royalties. And Luna? She's no better. Didn't Eric beg Anna for money to support Luna when their family was bankrupt? Lock them up and throw away the key so they can't hurt anyone else. Eric's downfall was only a matter of time. He spiraled into despair, unable to sleep. The only thing keeping him going was Luna's cosmetics line, which hadn't yet been publicly attacked. He clung to Luna like a lifeline. How soon can the cosmetics hit the market? Luna stroked his hair soothingly. The first batch is already reserved by wealthy clients. We'll have the payments soon. Once the money comes in, we'll rebuild the company together. Eric finally relaxed at her words. Chapter 9. The so-called miracle cream sold out immediately after its launch. I stared at the sold-out marker on the shopping page, feeling a mix of amusement and helplessness. Roma, my youngest, had just finished a research project and was currently glued to my side. She leaned against me and asked, Mom, How long do you think it'll take before they notice the side effects? I thought for a moment. 3 days. Probably. Sure enough, by the 3rd day, the counters selling the cream were mobbed with angry customers. Online buyers stormed the company headquarters, demanding to confront Luna and hold her accountable. Luna remained blissfully unaware until a furious socialite barged into her office. The woman ripped off her mask, revealing a swollen face that looked like a puffed-up dough ball, her features distorted beyond recognition. "Luna, what's going on with your cream? Look at my face. Fix it." My husband finally came home, and he ran away screaming when he saw me. Luna was horrified, while Luna was cornered in her office. Others who couldn't find her turned their attention to Zoe. Zoe, unable to recognize the enraged women at first, trembled as their voices grew louder. "Why are you coming after me? Go find Luna. It's her cream, not mine." The socialite sneered. "Isn't Luna your mother? Trying to cut ties now? Don't you think it's a little late for that? Besides, have you tried the cream yourself? Why should we suffer while you and your mother walk away unharmed?" With that, the socialite signaled her bodyguards, who held Zoe down and smeared the cream all over her face. Zoe screamed in terror. "No, don't. I don't want to look like you. Help me. Somebody. Help me." But everyone there had been victims of her family's product. Not one person stepped forward to save her. As the cream absorbed into her skin, Zoe's complexion briefly tightened and glowed. However, since the bodyguards had used too much, the swelling appeared almost immediately, something that took others 3 days to experience. Zoe collapsed to the ground, writhing in pain. Suddenly, she grabbed the socialite's hand and pleaded, "I know someone who can fix our faces. My mom, not Luna, my real mom." She warned Luna about the cream that day, but Luna didn't listen. If she knew the formula was faulty, she must know how to fix it. "Let's go find her. And if she won't help us, we'll make her face look just like ours." Before Zoe could finish, the socialite kicked her aside. "Don't treat us like you treat your mother. We're not ungrateful brats who threaten people when we need help. No wonder you ended up like this." Chapter 10. I instructed Roma to contact the research team immediately and prepare an antidote for the cream's side effects. We posted my contact information on the official website, letting people know they could reach out for treatment. However, I made one thing clear: anyone collaborating with Eric's company would not receive help unless they canceled their partnership. The antidote was free, but only available for pickup and immediate use to prevent scalpers from exploiting the situation. After nearly a week of non-stop work, the chaos finally began to settle. On Monday morning, as Roma and I left the lab, we were stopped by someone whose face was so swollen she was almost unrecognizable. She fell to her knees and cried, "Mom, please save me! Help me!" Roma immediately stepped in front of me and kicked the woman aside. "Who do you think you are? Trying to steal my mom?" Despite the distorted face, I recognized the voice. It was Zoe. She had used the cream, too. Judging by the damage, even if her face recovered, it would be left saggy and misshapen. "Give her a bottle," I said. Roma pouted but handed over the antidote, practically throwing it at Zoe before turning her back to me. My little girl was pouting again. Being the youngest and the only girl, I had spoiled her a bit. I poked her cheek and teased, "Is my little Roma mad at me? I was going to make candied fruit skewers for you today, but I guess not if you're upset." Roma's eyes lit up at the mention of food. She instantly grabbed my hand and started swinging it. "Candied fruit! Candied fruit!" "Mom, I'm not mad anymore." As we turned to leave, Zoe clutched my sleeve. Her swelling had gone down slightly, but she still looked ghastly. Her voice trembled. "Mom, can I go with you? Dad and Luna are bankrupt. The house has been seized. I have nowhere to go. Mom, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Please take me back." She made herself look as pitiful as possible, relying on the belief that she was my only daughter, the one I had pampered and adored, giving her everything she wanted. She thought I'd fall for it again, that if she played her part, I'd take her back and help her rebuild her life. But I pried her fingers off me. For the first time, I looked at her with eyes devoid of any warmth. "Are you confused? I only have one daughter. Don't try to claim what isn't yours, or my daughter might get jealous. I patted Roma's head and didn't spare Zoe another glance. As for you, I said coldly, garbage belongs in the trash. Don't crawl out and make a mess. Zoe stared blankly at my retreating figure, her strength draining as she collapsed to the ground. A voice whispered in her mind, she really doesn't have a mother anymore. Chapter 11. After Santiago found out where I lived, he started visiting frequently. He was clearly interested in pursuing me. Once again, I turned him down, but this time, unlike when we were younger, he didn't cover up his bruised pride with hurtful words. Instead, he gave me a helpless smile. Well, it's no surprise. You're so outstanding, I know I don't deserve you, but if we can't be family, we can at least be friends, right? He extended his hand, and I nodded. After that, he began visiting my home even more often. It got to the point where my two sons were constantly scowling at him, but Santiago didn't seem to mind. He teased, your mom and I are just friends. Are you really going to stop her from having friends? Watching their playful bickering, I lay back in my rocking chair, feeling a rare sense of peace and contentment. Life, at this moment, felt so wonderfully calm.